if we look at our map and we are here, I have decided that from this, about where the mountains really take over, and if we had come down all this area with forests and rivers, that this is all continuous in terms of culture and trade and things like that with these islands here. And then these, of course, continue, and you have this lower plain, and we get down to this coast, and all the way out along these islands. Okay? So all of that, and this too, I'm going to consider to be the areas connected by trade and by agreements and by a general sense of peaceful life. That's not to say that in some area some chieftain kills someone else's son and then they all have to renegotiate everything. But small things like that happen all the time. But we are not really talking about nation states at war or anything like that. The different regions have names. But this is not a modern culture, and so you don't have any maps with a line on it or anything like that. So then, as I pointed out, though, that would include these islands entirely, but not this set of islands up here and these mountains. So this area is harder to control and is, in my opinion, the very islands that you are in are full of pirates. And a lot of this area is considered a little bit out of the general civilized agreements that govern the other areas. That leaves us, of course, with this interesting bay right here and whatever is happening out here and around in this little spot. And then, of course, this, because you see we have two, pretty substantial waterways here. I'm not going to worry about that now, just say there are more. And that's enough. But I want to talk a little bit about this. As I see it, the legend of this whole area here, this huge ocean here, is that there is a dragon sleeping at the bottom of it, in the middle, somewhere. Or a sea dragon of some kind, whatever you want to call it. And that it is so powerful that its dreams take form. And that's actually from a RuneQuest idea, that you never see a real dragon. You only see its dreams because it's so powerful that its dreams become alive. And, of course, you are seeing all the worst sides of the dragon's personality while it is dreaming, so that's why dragons are dangerous. So anyway, that's what we are going to say about sea serpents here. So there are dragon-like sea serpents in this, and they are kind of manifested by the dreams of the dragon down below. But this culture is very tightly connected to this dragon and has, in some ways, has incorporated a kind of worship or a kind of relationship with it so that they are safe to sail their ships, and that is why they have this. This is the center of all of the cultures that I am talking about. And so as you go out along these islands, of course, you get more and more and more of the dragon-centered culture. And that's sort of my idea. The northern lands are more touched by chaos than the southern ones, and that is manifested here, along here, and also gives rise to some interesting questions about this up here. But the point is that I hope I have given a little bit of context for where you are up here and how people get around, My idea was that Zort and Jovan had traveled to the mouth of this huge river, and that in a city up here is where they connected with Urko and his temple. And then traveling north to get into these areas, they eventually found a person from these areas to take them even further than she was used to going, into these areas which everybody considers to be lawless and full of crazy people and full of pirates and bandits and things like that.
Just
which
a bad neighborhood.
it is.
No, not really.
No.
Not
It's
bad.
as you discover when you get there, it's not awful at all, but it's also a place where you cannot, you're not going to find, a friendly port or something. If we look at this little map that I have chosen to be our island, you will find that I had placed us here, and that I said this island is where Imja is from, and that it is kind of a magical or special island of some kind. And then over here you will see that there is this port city right there. Well, I have decided that that is going to be, of course, a haven of pirates, and that since you have now gained a good reputation over here, that they are willing to, with the recommendations you have received, that you are going to take a ship home, or at least further out of this area, perhaps traveling along here, in order to get to a place where you can pick up a more civilized travel home. So to get you to here, that's a good stopping point for you if you are going to go back to your temple.
Yeah.
And so it would make sense for you to go that way. For Skava is a good question. And so we can talk a little bit about that, whatever makes sense. I also will say that the group that will take you is going to be a little bit unusual. They're not going to go along the site of the coastline, which is the typical way. They will strike out into the open sea.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yes, which is a little bit unusual, but they seem to like it. They are there are 3 ships. There is one which is suitable for a cargo, for carrying goods, animals, and then there are 2 like the ones in the picture that I sent, which are warships. So those are escorting the main ship.
Those go out in the open sea.
They have a plan. They have something to do. So that's the only catch. They are happy to take you, and they are a group of they are a group of people who strike you as particularly touched by chaos. They're people with an extra arm, people with some fangs, people who some of them have other abilities that seem to appear. It's not quite as crazy as being on a ship of X-Men, but it's a little bit unusual. And they I guess what I'm saying is that one of the things that's a little bit different about the sailors from here is that they don't have any agreement with the dragons. So therefore, it doesn't make much sense for them to go out into the open like that. But they will tell you. There is a particular creature out here that they they have chosen to, to meet, and that the warships are going to swim into its mouth. And don't worry, stay on this ship. Everything will be fine. We will wait until they come out. And then we will go and take you to the shore again and go to that spot.
Anyone else have a problem with this story, or is it just me?
I think it sounds
Do
interesting.
you seriously ask? I mean, dungeons were bad, and now somebody wants to take me out to open sea.
It's just another dungeon.
I'm on. Yeah, great!
Fish food. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm excited.
So
That's right. Of course.
Surprise!
Of course.
Erica is so excited!
Is it forbidden? Is it abominable? Is it ancient and old? Is it
go
dangerous? I
there.
want to go there.
Yep.
I'm guessing in the dynamics of the game and the stuff we've seen so far. Dragons,
just be
dragons,
great.
or a possibility, or is dragons like semi-mythical
Well,
creatures? You
nobody
touched
really
those,
wants to
yeah.
meet one of the big sea serpents swimming around in
Yeah.
the ocean. As I say, they're not very nice.
Yeah.
And if you did, you would prefer to be with a sailor or a priest or someone
Yeah.
from this area.
Okay, but they do exist. It's not
Yes,
just
they do
wives'
exist.
tale.
Yes.
It's
Correct.
okay.
Correct. Yes, we are playing
Yeah,
crazy fantasy
yeah,
and get to say whatever we want.
yeah. But I just
Yes.
if it were touching on the border of mythology,
I would say so. This is an age of legend.
yeah.
So we have these things. Okay. Now, the good news is that the as a gift for your departure, you will receive from the village and Imja, and perhaps from this mystical isle that she comes from, you will receive. We might as well say it's a tattoo that will permit you to, if you fall into the ocean, that the land will call you back. And the idea being that you will be able to survive in some way.
Unless something with a very big mouth is coming into my
There
way.
are limitations to any spell, of course, to any magic, but the
Driftwood.
that's right. Yeah. But the idea being that you could possibly survive being thrown into deep water or something like that. So that's a gift they will give you as part of safe passage.
Because like swimming is not common knowledge. It's
For you, I think it is, because you come from this place. But it's true that in many cultures and many times, people did not learn swimming very often. I think that you would be okay in a lake.
Yeah,
You
In
can
the
get
river.
around in the water.
but I can
Oh, yeah.
swim.
Right, exactly. But it's not the same as really being a...
I'm not uncomfortable in
Correct.
water,
Correct.
but I can swim.
Hmm. But it is not the same, though, as a sailor who is used to just jumping into the ocean and swimming around the ship and coming back up. So, so those are some of my thoughts.
okay. So it would be safe to say that we're not carrying any armor on the boat. Just in case.
Yes, that's your armor would
I-
probably be your metal armor in particular.
Yeah.
Your plate armor is going to be packed away in a box.
Yeah, like anything heavy is just like
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.